Today we have a very special guest. We have Tarash. Tarash has huge experience in this industry, especially in sales and marketing, and he started multiple businesses. It's not only one business, and he sold one of them. Now he's growing another one. Um, on my side, I have cold. I hope you understand my voice. I will leave the stage to Tarash to introduce himself, and later Fabio Palvelli will join us. Tarash, thank you very much for your time. It's a great pleasure to have you in this live stream. Please introduce yourself. So Fabio has joined. Amazing.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thank you so much, Anis and Fabio, for having me. So my journey in Archviz started back in 2014. I started as a freelancer, like probably most of Archviz artists. I just had a huge passion to CGI, and I just wanted to do beautiful images and to work as little as possible. But then eventually it grew into studio in a couple of years, and I invited my friends to join me in this interesting journey. So we named the studio Submarina,
Mhm.
and we were like doing really interesting and very artistic visuals back in the day. And in 2019, I have decided to quit this business, and we also had ideas about like selling the company to D-Box. So I quit in 2019 after 5 years running this company, and the guy sold the company to D-Box, and I decided to switch an industry, and I decided to open a restaurant back in 2020. Then the COVID started, and I found myself in a really interesting situation where I had to run the business which I don't understand and don't know anything about, which I probably thought was just incredibly interesting from the outside, but I had no idea how to run it. But I was really persistent and hardworking, so I made this business profitable. But in 2021, I have decided to go back into 3D, and I got an interesting idea of creating a startup for like very quick CGIs. So basically, the idea was to create a website where the client can come, just log in, put their like upload their project, give some short overview, and to get their visuals like really quickly without like any feedback rounds. It had to be like a pizza delivery, these websites where you just enter, then you put all your details, and then you receive a pizza in like I don't know, like in an
Yeah.
hour or so. So that's why we decided to name this project RenderBar,
Mhm.
and we have tried this approach with the several clients, but it didn't work. And we we found ourselves that clients really want to have a very tight collaboration. They want to provide feedback. They want service. So we realized that this idea was interesting just in our heads, and we decided to move back into the idea of creating the studio. And I decided to rename studio like in last year. So the reason for this was that we started as a company that was doing renderings, but eventually we started doing also animations, interactive tours, digital twins, branding, even websites. Like our, let's say, the service, our services, they became so big, and there were so many of things that we wanted to do, so we just decided to go from the company with the name of RenderBar. So actually that gives you some strong attachment to the name that has more abstract meaning, and actually uh, maybe communicate more the idea of what we want to do in the future.
Perfect.
And yes, so
Perfect. Yeah.
this is where we are now.
Yeah. So the recent name is Marygold.
Yeah.
So it is the same studio. The change was in the scope of services and the name.
Yeah,
I think the
basically
theme
the
as well.
scope and the perception, I would say the positioning as well. Like
Okay.
RenderBar gave us some kind of a cheap narrative or something like that. We were actually considered as a let's say the more cheap rendering provider, which actually was an idea for this name, right? Because this name started as the name for the startup that had to provide cheap visuals. But because we worked a lot on the quality and on the quality standards, and of course, like the client range, uh, like we just wanted to go a little bit beyond of, just cheap rendering, visualization, production.
Perfect, perfect. Um, Today's topic is about sales mainly,
Yes, correct.
and I expected that you will talk about how you what is your perception of sales for baby creatives and for your studio, but you told me today you would like to reflect on what is in the market as sales for creatives.
Right, right. So the background for this idea, actually, to jump with you on this stream, was my dinner that I had with Artem Bobro. Fabio probably know this guy. We had a dinner in Warsaw a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the sales process. And I have provided him my reflection and my vision on how the sales process is actually looking like for creative like studios, companies, or like industries overall, because I would say it's really similar. And he said that it's kind of an interesting approach. And I'm going to share it with you, and maybe I'm sure you already understand that, but maybe you find it somehow interesting or innovative or somehow fresh, uh, right?
Yeah,
So when we talk about sales, I think we need to divide it on three main columns, or like three main things.
yeah,
The first one would be lead generation, the second one would be the offer, and the third one would be like the deal closing part, right? So, or let's call it the deal, right? So, and if we try to go from the first one to the last one and we start talking about lead generation, most of the people will think about the cold email campaigns, right? However, I think in the world we're living now, lead generation is actually anything you can imagine that can stop some person from scrolling, right? So we can imagine a person who is like, I don't know, like just woke up and having his like morning routine, having the coffee or like just enjoy the morning toilet. And this person is scrolling Instagram or TikTok or whatever or Facebook, right? And you need somehow to uh, to create some piece of a content that will allow this person to stop from scrolling, or this person is scrolling his Gmail notifications and he need to stop at some point and understand, okay, this is something interesting, this is something that catch my eye, right? And it doesn't have to be about your offer. You don't need to talk about sales points. Why are you better? Who are you? Like, where are you from? Why you are better than the competitors, or what exactly you are proposing? The goal for lead generation is actually to make a person stop and to think, who is this guy? So who is this Anis? Like, why he's writing all these things? Like, he thinks that he is smarter than us, or like he's more, I don't know, he knows something better. And right after this person who stopped at your photo or at your post, right after this person stopped at this post and started thinking of you or trying to find information of you, then we can jump on the second stage, right? And I think so many people and like artists and architects or anyone who is actually in creative industry, they overmiss the opportunities of lead generation, because lead generation, it can be anything. It can be literally anything you can create. So you could be as creative as possible. You can create some viral content. You can publish visuals and write posts about how it helped your client, or just try to push your client to buy from you. If it works, I think like everyone has to find his own formula, right? If it works for you, then it works, right? If it doesn't work, then you need to like delete this idea and to start creating another one. But lead generation is just something to make another person to get interested, right? So like, or if you're on some kind of a networking event and you're trying to meet with a person and you're trying to sell, right, you're also doing a lead generation. If you're talking to people, you're doing lead generation, because these people, they didn't know you before this event, or they didn't know you at all, and somehow you're in front of them and you're trying, like you will not give the pitch about what you're selling, right? I mean, of course you can, but I don't think it's going to work. The best is thing is just to introduce yourself, and it also would be some kind of like some part of lead generation, right? So we can call all these initiatives as lead generation. The second part,
If you don't mind,
yeah, sure.
if I don't want to interrupt you, but like I would like to give a room for the audience. So Tarash has talked about three steps in lead generation, in the sales process: the lead generation, the offer, and closing the deal.
Yeah,
And so this is his reflection on the sales process. And in lead generation, in case anyone has any question, please type in the chat because he's available for 1 hour and he's going to answer all the questions. Okay. And depending on his definition for lead generation, which I do agree. So Fabio is away now. So Fabio and I were talking last week that he
yeah,
was making lead generation while he was in the restaurant. So
yeah,
he was in a restaurant talking with another guy. Hey, how's it going? All good? Where are you from? Where are you from? And they discovered this guy is working at a company they want to work with. So now they have a foot in the door, some sort of like someone insider they can get them in. A lead generation could be anything that sparks the conversation between you
correct,
and the prospective
correct.
client. So give me 1 second just to see if we have questions on LinkedIn and YouTube. And if you don't mind, I have also some questions, okay?
Yeah, sure, sure. Go ahead.
So we can have like we can cover the three topics
Yeah,
in like a full. Um, the thing is, there is some delays between the platforms, and I need to track who is chatting where. You see. So we have, I think we have one in there said in there. Yeah. Hey guys. Hey in there. So so lead generation, it means um, you are throwing the bait and you're waiting for them to say, "Hey, would you mind
correct.
giving me something?" Or are you, I mean, is it inbound or outbound, or what we call today the all bound? You see, so we have something a new thing that's called all bound because the new customer or the recent customers, they are developed. I mean, they don't really need someone to tell them, "Hey, look, our images are nice. You can sell your project," because they already know it. So our audience is, I would say, solution aware. If you have those levels of like someone who is not aware, or problem aware, or solution aware, or your service aware, or like most aware. Most aware is the client. So when we say, "Hey, look, the image can really help you sell," it means you are talking to someone who does not really know. They might be not aware or problem aware. Our audience, they already know what is an image or it is animation, but so my question is, do you mean by lead generation in your reflection only the inbound? It means like I'm presenting myself in maybe a friendly way or maybe in a good way or I would say proof-oriented way. Like for example, the case study you shared a couple of days ago. Do you remember the case study on LinkedIn?
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean that was a
I never
perfect.
thought about this as a part of lead generation. It's some kind of, so I use LinkedIn as a kind of my diary where I just put my reflections on business or on my life. So I never, I mean, I should probably use it as a tool and also lead
Yeah,
generation tool, but I never thought about this
absolutely.
as a
Yeah,
right. So it's kind of I was so happy for the client because they managed to sell so quickly, and it was kind of surprising for me because usually it takes way more time, right?
yeah,
But I like, so first of all, I never think about this as inbound or outbound because, as you said, I think these days we need to think about all bound in a
yeah,
way, right? We should stop be focusing on like, is it going to be inbound or outbound? It actually doesn't exist anymore. The second part is I don't think that we need to acknowledge the clients by saying them how visuals can help them. I think
Exactly.
they will understand how it could help them, right? I mean, they're not stupid. They understand things very well, right? And the third thing, I think that we live in an economy where things are driven not by functionality but more desires. And if
Yeah.
you somehow can create a desire, so basically like what you are trying to achieve with this lead generation, you're trying to achieve a desire from someone to talk with you, right?
Yeah.
So like oftentimes like beautiful women, how they're doing lead generation, they publish beautiful photos of themselves like half naked on Instagram. This is also part of lead generation, right? So they create a wave of huge interest.
Guys do it as well.
Guys do it as well, yeah,
It's
but
not
I'm
basically
following
for
the
women, but
girls
like we are
more.
talking about our desires. Okay.
Right? So they're creating a huge wave of attention. Same for businesses. What we need to do is we need to create a wave of attention, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Although I will tell you that you need to be specific, you need to be original, you need to be creative, you need to be inventive, you need to really try. So you need to kind of make some brainstorming on your capabilities and your skill sets, and to find your own way of lead generation, because maybe you're not going to be a public figure, right? Maybe you don't need this. Maybe you will just better participate in some kind of
Yeah.
awards or competitions, or just go traveling, or just go networking, right? Maybe this is your way. Maybe you will, I don't know, work hard and create some unique pieces of content which many will find attractive.
Yeah.
But if you are writing a very primitive and standard post on LinkedIn, I don't think that someone would be attracted to this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he, like probably some loser who is in the same position would be attracted, and he will put the like
Yeah.
because he's in the same position, and he has a solidarity with you, and your desire to somehow create a wave of attention. But no, like it's the most important thing these days is somehow to become attractive and get this damn attention. So
Yeah.
lead generation is basically a process which needs to help you create this way of attention.
Great. Great. So, as a quick summary, what Tarash said, I mean, basically, there is nothing called inbound, outbound. Just to make it clear, outbound is basically called email. And inbound is when you are sitting, like the old days, 2010, 2012, you post an image and someone contacts you, hey, I have a big project and I am ready to pay you. And today, the new customer, the recent, like the modern customer, they don't do it in this way. They don't just like wake up in their morning routine and they see, oh, I have a cold email. Yes, this is the guy. So basically, you need to start the conversation, warm them up. You have them in your, I would say, your social media. They will see you more of like a couple of times until they are convinced. And when what I mentioned about Tarash post on social media, it shows like he had I had great relationship with the client, because usually in our industry, with respect to everyone other than my clients, they I will tell you why. They just do the work and they are really very shy to ask them for testimonial or even a review. Hey, could you please give us like a couple of nice words on Google? We do it in different way. And when I saw, you are not my client, but like when I saw it, I said, man, this has the perfect script, because you showed the case study how the client really achieved great results with your images, and at the end you ended the post saying, was it because of the images? Of course not. We helped, yes, but like of course the strategy of the client was the great thing. So this shows that the relationship with the client is very close and intimate. And someone that has this relationship, it means they are successful. I mean, it doesn't mean that, I mean, it doesn't happen that you have a very cold relationship with the client or maybe transactional relationship with the client and they will share with you the results. You see, they are wise. So that's why I mentioned, like, for example, in case, I don't know, this is like, I just imagine imaginary situation. In case Tarash has started the conversation with any prospective client and that client saw that post, this is like a one step closer to him as a client. That's lead generation. We have a couple of questions. Okay. Um, so Yuri Bobak. Okay. Say hi, guy. Do you corona render settings for realistic rendering? Yeah.
Now it's
Thanks for the question. It's one of the toughest questions we get on this live stream.
yes. I mean,
Okay.
I would say it's probably a meme because we use this joke with Yuri when we talk between each other. So yeah.
Yeah, it is clear that it is a joke. So we have another question on, I think, YouTube or somewhere. Hi, Anis and Tarash. I have a question that I have two options that either email on very large quantity to random companies from Google search. Other option is to email to less and highly potential leads. How do I find those? So basically, how do you email? That's the question. I mean, highly potential leads. How do you know that they are highly potential if it's completely cold? Um, yeah, the first question, just ignore it, forget it, and so you don't really hurt your reputation. But today's session is for Tarash. Tarash should answer the question.
Right. So just to finalize this talk about lead generation, there is also another thing that many artists doesn't know probably that architects or marketing directors at real estate companies they never follow any artists or like all these aggregators on Instagram with renderings just because it is not in their like list of interests, right? They're following probably Ryan Serhant or someone else who is selling, who is successful in real estate, or maybe I don't know Bill Gates or maybe Tony Robbins, someone who gives them maybe some inspiration or some kind of new information. But they never follow this kind of content because they are just not interested. And so I think the best way to build like the successful marketing campaign in any industry these days is branding a personal brand, which I'm definitely not a good example in, but I think it's the best way how you can connect with the clients and how you can communicate your offer, right? So it's the next part, right? Offer. So probably before doing lead generation, you need to think about the offer, right? So what is the offer? Offer is actually your proposal, is something how you can help your client, right? It's a kind of a list of services or list of products or list of activities or list of solutions or maybe one solution, but it's some idea that can help your client to succeed, which you are selling for some specific amount of money, right? For the price, because like the world is driven by money, not driven, but it's running
Yeah,
by
all
money,
good.
right? So you need to create this offer, and if you are going to offer a rendering, this is not going to look exciting to anyone. First reason is that renderings are not sparking any curiosity these days. I mean, when I started doing visuals back in 2014, yes, renderings was really sexy, funny thing back in the day, right? People really wanted to talk about renderings. Are you doing renderings with Corona or V-Ray? What type of V-Ray? Are you doing photorealistic or not photorealistic? But these days, no one wants to hear about this. People want to see solutions and they want to see case studies. They want to see examples. They want to understand how actually your skill can help them. And they're not interested in these pieces or like in these huge detailization of things you have done in the past. It's just the outcome. This is what they're thinking about. So by creating an offer, you can probably do it with your yes, if you want to create a good offer, you probably better do it with your like personal coach or business coach. Probably, I think it's a good way to create a really interesting offer because this is some kind of breakdown of your own personality because this offer needs to provide an answer to your personality on what interesting you are doing to this world, how what value are you bringing to this world, or you are here only for money, or you're here to bring art into real estate, or you're here to bring, I don't know, vision to real estate, or you're here to sell something, right? You need to understand. So basically, like the offer, it usually comes with understanding your personality and how you can be interesting and different. Uh, yes. So this is the offer.
Taras, can I
Yeah.
add something to what you just said? I apologize for my internet that it's coming and going, but I think what's important for anybody who's listening, uh, and don't worry, my part of the video will be recorded better for those who cannot hear me properly. But it's very important to understand what is your selling proposition, to have a certain amount of years dealing with your clients' problems, trying to figure out how to solve them. So, for all the young artists out there, pace yourself, because being working with clients is a little bit like being in a relationship with somebody, right? You do it for 2 years, 3 years, you think you know somebody, you don't. You're just
No.
scratching the surface, right? So it takes a very long time to understand what kind of problems you're trying to solve. And then once you figure it out, you can um, sort of like expand that knowledge to other clients. But this is why it's very important to pace yourself at the very beginning, because you think that you're making images and this is what you're doing, but no, this is just a little part of the whole um, complexity of the work that we do. So I just wanted to make that point because I think it's very important what you said, but I want to give a little bit more, I want to expand a little bit more so that people understand, hey, I'm ready to do the stuff that Taras is saying, but the reality is that yes, you might be ready because you want to do it, but you're not ready because you don't have the experience yet. So pace yourself, you will get there, but give yourself time.
Yes, and I think it is not so much about experience and your previous case studies, but probably your understanding of the client's problem. So I would I would say that clients tend to work with people who understand their problems and they want to work with professionals. And it doesn't mean that you need to have a huge background. No, you like this background can even be short, but they want you to understand their pain points and their problems, right? So like the offer, I'm doing renderings and I have been doing these renderings for 5 years, doesn't sound interesting, but the offer, I will create for you, I don't know, like the most successful views that is going to launch your property on the highest possible way, because they are going to be this, and that. And this is how I can confirm that my renderings are this quality standard. That probably make a difference, right? Um, so yes, it is extremely important to understand the process. I, what I did in the past, I really enjoyed watching interviews with architects or real estate developers where they shared pain points, or even talking with your clients where they saying, like the biggest pain point in this project was actually getting this land. And because I got this land, I'm not interested in creating high-end visuals because I know that I will sell it like in 1 month because it's so exclusive, right? So you're not going to, I don't know, waste your time on convincing this client that he needs high-end visuals, because actually he doesn't. When people need high-end visuals, like let's talk about real estate developers, when they're playing a risky game, right? When the market is highly competitive, when they're not 100% sure, or where the standard is so high, like, right, if you are Aman, or I don't know, Omniat in Dubai, right, you're performing on the highest level, your clients are millionaires, maybe billionaires, right? So you need to create such a sophisticated service so these clients would be happy about that, right? So this is the case, right, where they probably will need high-end renderings. Another example, right, where they in extremely competitive environment and they're thinking, okay, maybe the game will be tough. Maybe we'll need to like visuals and high-end visuals to make ourselves look more attractive or so on. Maybe we need animations. Maybe we need like an interesting website, something like that. But yes, so my idea about an offer is actually understanding your values and providing these values into a very short brief. Like it has to be incredibly short. If it's some kind of a long pitch, it's not going to work. No one wants to listen or read or, you know, it is so hard to keep attention of people these days. Like you start pitching about something and saying like, we have done this project with Foster and Partners, and they're like, and he's like he's taking his phone and start scrolling, right? You're like, what the fuck? I thought it's an interesting project. Okay, well, I will remove it from my presentation. I will just leave the most interesting parts, right? So it is so important to create an extremely short pitch, but valuable, sexy, interesting, smart. And yes, so this is the second part.
Perfect. So we have a question from Sayed. So he said, could the point accelerate your pre-sales, attract real estate developers? I tried this but did not succeed much. Would appreciate your comment on this. So Tarash would like to talk about it because I do have a case study about it, like an artist who did something similar. Please start on Fabio. Sorry, Fabio. Like you can join whenever you want.
Uh,
I'll chime in as soon as I have a little bit of space.
Okay. Tarash would like to talk about or to answer him. He said, would accelerate your pre-sale. Um,
to real
what's the
estate
word?
developers.
Yeah, accelerate your pre-sales for real estate developers. Would that attract them? He tried it and did not succeed.
Okay, what does he mean exactly by acceleration? What exactly he have
Yeah,
done?
I don't know. He should answer it. So let me share with you. I mean, your question is completely on point. The fact that you can accelerate is not. I mean, you need to make an offer. It should be sexy. It should be like hitting the point like on their desires. Perfect. But it should be believable. Like you are providing marketing assets. You are not providing an acceleration tool. You are providing, yes, a sales tool, a presentation tool, but not an acceleration tool. And we had a case study in the UK, a studio. They were offering the same service as you said. Okay, we are doing great 3D animation, interactive tools, whatever it is, like 360s, whatever. Just ask us anything and we'll do it. And I told him, I mean, before we do anything, we think about the offer. I need to go back to your clients just to see what do they say about you, because you mentioned something about earlier. You said the offer should be done with someone else. Okay.
I mean, it's just my
Yeah,
consideration, like my recommendation, because sometimes you need someone to reflect on your
absolutely.
capabilities, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it is hard to reflect on yourself. That's why
perfect.
I told you.
I do agree with this because, like, when you are inside the frame, it's very tough to see the full picture, and you have someone external, they can tell you like how they perceive it, and believability is great. Sorry for that, and it's like very important. You do need to have something that is well perceived from others. I believe either a business coach or maybe also your previous clients. Just to continue the case study, so this guy went back to his previous developers. They were all developers. Although the land was really like special, exclusive, all of that, one of the developments, it was a huge, massive. And the developer said, because of your 3D animation, we were able to secure 10 million pounds in the pre-sale process, in early funds. So the interview is still online. Okay, I can share it with everyone later. Okay, and another client of this studio said, because of your images, I was able to sell the apartment 11% over the asking rate. Okay, so those are two case studies. When I saw that, okay, and I went back to other, I mean, not everyone agreed on making an interview. Some people provided like just a written one. It was clear that his way of communicating, he knows exactly what the area really needs to see in order for them to buy. And and his value proposition was, we provide you with off-plan sales tools. You see, so when you say pre-sale, pre-sale is what we call it. The developer does not call it pre-sale; they call it off-plan sale. Okay, you might find someone who's saying pre-sale, but you need to know their terms as well. And the best way to know it is to listen to them, like at least talk to them. If you don't know what they are looking for, ask them. So that was the case study about this. So I can tell you from now, even if you did not try this, it won't work because you don't accelerate by doing 3D renderings and showcasing the project before construction. So he's like explaining what does he mean, what he means by accelerating, by doing 3D rendering and showcasing the project before construction. That's
Not
what
sure
everyone
that
is
I
doing.
understood. Do you understand this,
So
Anis?
he said, if you remember, you asked him, what do you mean by accelerate?
Yeah,
You
correct, correct.
accelerate.
But he
He
was,
said by doing 3D rendering and showcasing the project before construction, which is almost what everyone does today. So I don't know where is the acceleration. So let me tell you about another example. Sorry, Taras, if
yeah, no worries.
so it is a conversation. You see, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
so let's say you provide them with a full, I would say, let's say you get the property, um, you make the 3D visualization, you make it interactive, and you provide them with a tool plus a marketing campaign for them to sell. It means the developer comes to you with a blueprint approved from the authorities, finished, and what you deliver to him is people who are interested to buy. You see, so you take the control of the complete process in between the end client and him providing you with a blueprint. Something you can control. It means you can do it. Okay, this you can also say I accelerate because you know all the
Yeah.
process, you know all the in between. That's what I see it. I might be wrong, but I mean, Tarash, you can maybe I mean try. I mean, do you have a view on this point?
Yeah, well, like providing the tools or like online platforms is not necessarily a good initiative in selling actually real estate, and I have never met real estate developers who are saying like because of this tool, online digital tool, we were able to get leads, right? Because this is not something that drives sales. What can do like the sales is actually a good content, whether it's so like for real estate developers there are thousands of ways how they can spend money, right? They can organize an event, they can organize a series of events, they can launch a campaign on TV, or they can share this information among bloggers or like people who are somehow connected to the leads that they're interested in, right? They can invest in high-end visuals, they can invest in high-end brochures, and then they can go on some different shows where they can showcase these brochures so like some other people would get interested in this. So like every location has its specific sales process. If we talk about location like Dubai or like United Arab Emirates overall, uh, like this location is known for brokers, right? So there are so many brokers who are selling real estate, and all those brokers has a list of contacts and a list of people in their phone books, which they know might be interested in this piece of real estate. So, like this is what I'm saying, right? The best part is to learn at least one or two markets and then to create a tool or a solution for this market only. So we have been working in Spain, and we've been doing some projects in south of Spain, and they're not using any platforms, and there is a lack of brokers there, And it's like every broker has so many projects to sell, like every brokerage has so many projects to sell, and most of the like Spanish real estate is actually being sold to like people from other European countries or to UK or to America, right? So what we have provided as a tool for lead generation to our client is we created reels that they targeted on their, let's say, lead area, right? And it helped them to generate so much of attention and like interest in this particular project. So that was the solution. And I would say like no image can create that much amount of attention. That was a huge campaign done in Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, which helped them to generate leads and actually to pre-sell so many properties in such a short time, right? So I think the solution is never on the surface. You need sometimes a little bit dive deep in understanding the market and how it actually works. And after you understand the market, you can better understand what offer you can create and how you can create actually this offer. Do we have any other questions, or
Yeah, we
should we
have two
move
questions.
to?
One is long, one another one is shorter. So, um, so we have a question from Yuri Nali Vaiko. So he said, "Hi Tarash, great to see you. I'm Yuri. I am in the early stages of building an architectural visualization studio. My target audience includes architects and developers, with a stronger focus on developers. At the moment, I am managing everything on my own, finding clients, conducting meetings, creating visuals, learning, and building my personal brand on LinkedIn and Instagram. Could you share your insights on the key areas I should prioritize first? Additionally, how can I gradually transition from being a one person show to creating an optimized, autonomous, and profitable business? P.S. Apologies for the detailed question. Happy to discuss this in more depth with you. Yeah, I think, yeah. Would you like to answer it? Because we have other two questions, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good question, but it requires at least an hour or
Yeah,
maybe a day to reply on this question. So basically, I think the question is really big, and in order to answer this question, we need to split it on like small elements and then go from one to another. And I think the best is just to analyze his marketing campaign and everything that he's doing, because probably
yeah,
he's stronger in something and weaker in something. So I think if yeah, shortly, like briefly, in a nutshell, he need to concentrate on things that which he's doing the best, and delegate everything that he's not sure about.
yeah.
Right?
So, Yuri, a short answer is focus on what you are doing at the best and delegate what you cannot do or what you are what you can delegate. This is one thing. And a longer answer is reach out to Tarash and he might provide you with a solution, at least like 1 hour or 1 day. Another question, very interesting question. Um, Yuri Bobak said, how to sell a company and start living.
And start what?
Living.
Living.
That's a very interesting question, by the way. Yeah, how to
Any?
sell a company. You have experience in selling a company.
Well, you need to have a client first. In order to sell something, you need to have a client, right? You need to find a
Yeah.
client.
So you mean you need to have someone who is interested in the company.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So how to sell a company is you need to have a client, someone who is ready to pay
Yes,
for
then
it.
to make evaluation, then to understand the price, like the market price, and then go to negotiation, and then to actually sell it. So it's again, it should be a process.
Yeah. So that's a short answer. A longer answer.
Yeah.
Reach out to Tarash. So we have another question from Ivan Arama. Tarash, what advice would you give yourself at the beginning when you were a solo artist or had a team of 3 to 4 people to progress as quickly as possible? Thank you.
Well, that's an interesting question. So I would say like the beauty of Archviz is actually you can start making money on just knowing the craft, so you can become a freelancer. And if you are really good, I'm not a good artist, I would say that, right? If you are a really good artist, you can try to build your self brand or your personal brand, and to work as the good artist for architectural agencies or maybe even real estate developers. And I think it is something that you can do on your own, right? But if you're not a good artist, you need to become a good businessman. You need to get somehow an investment, or to make some money, you need to hire professional artists, you need to launch marketing campaign, you need to find the first clients, then you need to balance your cash flow, so your revenue with your costs, and then you need to start making consistent profit, right? So it's some kind of a process. But if I was on like the start of the journey when I was in back in 2014, I would be way more faster, and I will do way more sales than I was doing back in the day. So because I was so much doubting in myself, in my capabilities, in our service, in what we were doing, I think I missed a lot of opportunities back in the day. And I would do the same thing, but just more persistently, and just push harder.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
the answer is do more sales and stop doubting yourself.
Yeah,
So
I think stop doubting yourself and just push harder.
yeah,
This is the short answer.
great, great. So you know what? Like I was at the D2 this year, last year,
Yeah.
and the title that Fabio gave me, it was a big title: How to Grow or How to Scale Your Archviz Studio. And because of, I would say, I mean, a very repeating pattern between all the clients I helped, it wasn't the number of the team, or maybe the target client, or maybe the price, or even the offer, or even the website, or even the quality. It was mainly themselves. They did not believe they can grow. They were always stuck. Okay, I am a solo artist. If I'm going to grow, then I need to run a company. I won't be enjoying doing the 3D visualization. Well, in this case, if you enjoy it, continue doing it. You don't need to scale. If you have 5 people and you want to grow to 10 people, you do need to have a sales process to feed them. And the sales process, it's not only one step, it's like multiple steps. And you do need to believe in yourself that you need to make it, because it is not easy. And to keep up with everything, AI, clients, meetings, like all of that, you need to have the energy. And I did it, and I made the main point. I mean, I talked about the steps and everything, but like it was 2 hours. I made like 45 minutes just showing them
Mm.
that you need to believe in that you can do it. I mean, if you don't believe it, I mean, it won't happen.
Yeah, like Anis, there is also one interesting thing about Archviz is if you try to analyze Archviz studios and the most successful ones, or like the biggest ones on the market, like the companies with the most prominent names like Binyan or the Boundary, they're all driven by entrepreneurs but not artists. So the funny part of this business is that artists are usually very introverted people, right? And they're perceiving the world through their art and through what they're doing, right? Through artistic skill set, right? But
Yeah.
like businessmen, they're perceiving the world through numbers, or through achievements, or through the scale. So that's why I think they're running more successful studios, because they understand the demand, they understand the needs, they understand the market, and they create the product which the market needs. And they're not so focused about, like the quality, blah blah blah, how it looks, or if it's photoreal or not. They're more interested in the value, and in scaling this business, right? So it's just
Yeah.
an interesting observation.
Great, great. So we have 2 comments. I'm going to read them, then we move to the third part
Yeah.
of the third process. So, like one of the comments, Fabio, I think he left Because his connection, he said, yeah, but if people only understood how important mindset is, anything you set your mind to do cannot be achieved unless you are capable of imagining it first. That takes the most energy of all. Perfect. Thanks for that, Fabio. And we have a comment from Olena. She said, "Hi Tarash, how how would you go about targeting developers? I have been quite successful in reaching out to architects and interior designers because I have an architectural background, but the developers bubble seems challenging to get into. What would you start with? Thanks, guys, for the interesting stream." Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like once again, I think you need to understand which market are you targeting because like if we talk about North America, North America, Canada, it will be different than we have Middle East, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. They're also different. If we talk about Europe, it's also different. I would say like my advice to people who are starting doing this to do like the first thing that they can do is they can buy a ticket to like a festival called MIPIM, which is an annual conference which is taking part in Cannes.
Are you going this year?
Yeah, I'm going this
Yeah,
year
we will meet.
finally.
I'm going there as well.
Yeah, cool, cool. We will have some nice time there,
Great.
and you can get into the environment of real estate developers or marketing directors. I would say there are less marketing directors than salespeople or just real estate developers there. So that would be not an event to make sales, but you could get some interesting insights. Where are these people based? What are the scale of their projects? What type of content they're using? What exactly you can propose them? And I would start with collecting this amount of insights about like this business and about the market that you're trying to approach. Because as I said before, every market is different and every pitch has to be different.
Perfect. Another question. Which was your first big client and how did you get it?
Oh wow, probably it was in Submarina back in 2017. I don't know. I think so. We were like constantly posting images on Instagram, and there were clients who were writing to us messages like, "Hi guys, like, can you do our visuals and like how much it cost?" So that was that case. But I don't think it's a case anymore because there are so many visual artists and companies who are publishing renderings. Um, Although if you're I think if the company like if the big architectural brand is making a publication and he is tagging you as an artist or a subcontractor in this publication, then it can bring you this some certain amount of attention because there are people who are watching in this brand and they also want to like get the contents of this big brand, so this can help, right? Or maybe some kind of a public case study or some public comment or anything like that. Um, who was the first client? I mean, it is really hard to remember, but probably I would say it was the company called Skalman Norgan Architects, which is a comparably medium or even small company in Scandinavia, but they're doing just really amazing architectural projects, and it was a big success for us back in the day.
Perfect. Thank you. We have an interesting question. Hi guys, how would you break down your target market into smaller steps? This is coming from Simon Green. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so like once again, if we talk about real estate and like real estate marketing, there are different parts. Like there are investment companies who build big infrastructure projects, and those might be client of yours. Then we have companies who build and design like the residential properties. This is also the case for architectural visualization and marketing overall. There are companies who are producing housing in North America, And that would be probably not the case for architectural visualization because they are producing so many of them, and they're not interested in high-end content. And although if you're selling your visuals for $500, maybe that might be a case for you. Then we also have hospitality. So brands like Aman or Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons, they're constantly selling. I forgot the business word in English. So basically, they are selling this business process to other real estate developers, franchise. So they are selling franchise to other real estate developers, and they constantly need investors to buy this franchise. So that would be also the case, right? So, like, just in a nutshell, you need to split it like those like companies or real estate developers by functionality and by the size and by the scale of the projects that they deliver. And you need also to understand if you are a freelancer or a small company which has not that many case studies or has no specific educational background, that would be a very, very low uh, percent of a chance that you can get to the big fish, right? Because they have budgets and they're willing to play and to work with the big subcontractors. So if you're just starting, it is the best way is just to focus on some smaller real estate brands or companies or even architectural companies. And sometimes architects also advise visualizers to real estate developers. So that might be also a good way to create a good relationship between architects and yeah, between you and architects, so then they can recommend you to real estate developers.
Yeah, so that's a very great answer.
Yeah,
Um, I would just summarize quickly, then we'll move to the next point.
yeah,
Um, so Tarash talked about lead generation and the offer. And when he mentioned the offer, he talked about it goes back to you, your preferences, your personality, and your capabilities, and the dream of the client and the desire of the client. So basically, if you go to any real estate event and you see they are like presenting all the time films, it doesn't make sense to offer them images. If you are doing only images and you cannot push what you can do to them and like expect them to say, yes, we need it. You have to see what do they use mostly. For example, Tarash said that um, he helped his client in Spain to run their campaigns using Instagram Reels. Okay, now yes, we all can do 3D animation, but like having 3D animation with Instagram Reels in mind, it means like multiple sequences. They are all vertical formats. Um, you do need to think about Instagram, how people get like attract to the reel. That's a different type of 3D animation. So like when you know that your client is looking mostly for those types of like services, now we need to offer it. If you cannot do it, you up level your skills or you change the target market. So basically, that's a quick answer. Um, we do have another question. I mean, share your experience working with foster and partners.
yeah.
Uh, I think it will take longer than 50 minutes, right? We are already 19 now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a long question about how to onboard the client like Foster's and then how to work in their architectural projects.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah, I think we can move to the third part
yeah,
and then
please, yeah,
I can
perfect.
answer like the
Yeah.
final questions, right? So, okay, let's imagine you have created a flow of leads and people are interested in what you're doing. Then you're having a conversation with these people and you're providing them an offer and they find your offer interesting and they're saying, "Okay, it really looks sexy." And what happened next? And a lot of people will complain on that and they will agree with me that sometimes you have a brilliant offer, you have a you have leads that are excited about your offer, but at some point these leads are just start ghosting you. They're just disappearing, right? And you're kind of trying to question yourself, what was wrong? I mean, maybe my offer is not good enough, maybe my price is too high, or maybe it's too low, or maybe my presentation was not good enough. But the thing is, you never know why they're adopting and you never know why they're ghosting. And I think if you're trying to understand why they have ghosted you, you're losing time. So what I think is the most important part in this, actually in this sales process, is to have closers in your team. So closers are the people who I call these people comfortable people. People who are not salesy, people who are not kind of trying to close the deal, but people that can provide a warm bath for the client and provide him, uh, some kind of proof, or not even a proof, but like a feeling that everything is going to be right. And this closer, it's necessarily a part of your team, right? Sometimes the client, he had a conversation with you, right? Then he comes home and his wife is like asking, like, what have you done during the day? And he's like saying her, well, I met these guys and they're doing a good job. Like, do you think it's a good way to start working them, because they're kind of pricey and so on, and I never talked with them before and so on? And she's saying, yes, I think it's a good decision. So she's a closer at this point. Maybe you yourself can be a closer. Maybe you can hire an artist, or maybe it can be an artist from your group. So someone who doesn't have a desire to close the deal, or someone who can create these comfortable conditions for closing the deal, right? So closing is the most interesting part, because if you can master lead generation, you can master an offer. With closing is some kind of a chemistry, right? Because you need somehow to find this password, of probably the human behavior uh, parts, or characteristics that can help in this sales process, right? And not everyone is a good closer. There are some people who are doing a good offer. For instance, I don't think I'm a good closer. I think I can create a good offer, and I can provide uh, pros and cons of working with us, but I'm not the best closer. It's definitely. I'm a little bit pushy. I'm a little bit too emotional. I'm a little bit, let's close it today, or better yesterday, right? So once again, if you're a businessman and you're trying to build a perfect service, maybe you can find some specific person that would be a closer. But if you close only once and the client will be satisfied with the service, um, be sure that this client will come back and ask you for more, or even recommend you to some of his friends, right? So this is the
Yeah.
third part.
So, I mean, you brought up a very interesting point, the closers. Do you have closers in Marigold?
Well, I would say that my partner, like business partner, so I'm the founder of the
Yeah.
company, but I'm not the only shareholder. He's an excellent closer.
Okay.
And I think, but it was not like I found him and I thought he will be the perfect closer. It's just this is how we share different values in personality,
Yeah.
right? I think I'm more aggressive and he's like more consistent and calm, and he has all these values to make like a really good deals.
Yeah.
So yes, we have this process, and I'm thinking about hiring, or not hiring, but maybe asking more people to be present on on these offer calls, and close the deals, because uh, oftentimes the founder or the salesperson is not a good closer. What I do also is sometimes I just visit random creative studio, like calls, or even some startup calls, where you can book a call and you can see how this meeting is going to look like, right? How the salesperson is going to work with you, and how he's going to close you. And when I feel that someone is really persistent on the other side, and he's trying too hard to
Yeah.
to make fun, right? Or to make entertainment, to entertain me, right? Or to bring something interesting on the table, or to, I don't know, to convince me, then I'm feeling that something is probably wrong with this, because I don't want another person to try too hard. I want it
Yeah.
to be, exactly like it has to be.
Yeah,
The funny
yeah,
thing, right, about sales, like when someone's like too persistent, you start feeling that
yeah. You start feeling like there is something wrong.
yeah, correct, correct.
Yeah. So basically, for the audience, some of you might not know what a closer mean. So a closer is a salesperson. In our industry, we have salespeople, but in our industry, we have like a very elementary understanding of salespeople. Let me tell you why. We think that the sales guy is going to generate the leads, sell the project, make the offer, and close the project and manage the project, which is most of the, I would say, medium-sized studios are doing today. And they don't really see the benefits of having a closer. And you are the first guy I see that is talking about this, to be honest. I mean, I met like a guy. He said, I told him, "What do you do, man?" He got in touch with me, and he said, "I am a salesperson and a studio." And what do you do to do sales? And he said, yeah, I search for people, I contact them, they reply to me, we meet together and we make the offer, we send the quotation, then we follow up, then I keep in contact with them. So he's doing lead generation, making offers, I would say, closing the deal, client communication, project management. Okay. And I said, man, that's too much. And they asked me, and he told me, they asked me to post content. Oh my God, content generation. That's definitely a no-go. I mean, and he left. He left not because he did not want to continue, because they said, well, you know what, the clients are coming on their own. They are coming back to us, so we don't need a salesperson. That's really tough. And back
Yeah.
to uh, the most common request I get from people is, at least get the projects, okay, and you will get commission from the project. Cool, I'm happy to do it. Do you have a list of potential people you already warmed up and they are ready and you send them the offer? No, we don't have. You need to make it. Okay, and marketing assets, do you have them? Oh, no, you need to make it. And your website? Yeah, we have a website, which is like an online portfolio. I said, guys, this is a nice gallery of images, but like it's not a website. I mean, a website should generate leads. Oh, we have this. If you think something different, you need to make it. Guys, enjoy uh, growing your studio. So that was I mean, just to tell you, like, closer is a sales guy that is specialized about closing the quotation. I do have a question, a big question for you. If
Sure.
you'd like to add on this, please continue, and I will read the question later.
Me on
If you
closing?
would like to add on the closing part, anything,
No, I
yeah.
mean, I hope that I managed to explain what I mean by closing the
Yes,
deal
yes,
when, yes.
definitely,
So,
definitely. I mean, I'm very thankful for you to bring this topic up. So we have a big question from a big guy. Okay, I will tell you the name later. So Tarash, I imagine that when you first started out, your price might have been very low. How did you start moving up the price scale? What was necessary for you to do to start raising your prices? And what type of conversations did you have to have with your clients? How did it change the way you presented yourself online or in face-to-face conversations? So this guy is Fabio. Okay, I think he wanted to ask all these questions in the meeting, but like
I
because
said
of his
big guy.
protection.
Right, right, right. So, first of all, so the price is not some kind of a spiritual thing. It's not something that just grow eventually by the time because your experience growth. I mean, of course you can do it, but like if we think about the price in different businesses, like usually the price is built on like there are some like parts of creating of managing the prices, but overall we have a market and we also have a cost of your company, right? And we have the values that you're providing. If like the value is high and you really help to solve a big problem, then the price for this probably would be high, right? So, okay, let's just break it through. If we have like I don't know, $50 million property, and we need someone to sell it, then probably the visualization will cost some money, right? Because you will deal with the marketing director who has experience in selling these type of properties, and he has already some specific scale of professionalism, and he understands how much it can cost. He's not looking for $500 renderings because he's actually looking for someone who will provide the value, right? And when you're creating your price, you need to analyze your costs, because if you want to build a high-end studio, then you need to hire professionals. Professionals would not work for low pay, right? uh, they will ask for a high salary. You need somehow to hunt them, right? You need to find them, and they probably pricey. Then you need to invest in equipment, into, I don't know, if you're going to work remotely or in-house, right? So then you will also have a marketing expenses. Then you will have these and that expenses, right? So you will, like, at the end of the day, you will have the cost of your studio, and still you need even make some money, right? And let's imagine that you want to be 20% profitable, right? Which means that your EBITDA would be like 20 or 25%, right? So if you can calculate your break-even point, then you can create the price of your services. And if we go back to my conversation about the offer, if you understand the value of your offer and you understand the cost to provide this value, then you can provide the price, right? So it's not like you're taking this price from the air, but you're calculating it just using the math of production office that you're running. So that's in a nutshell about the prices, right? I hope I was brief enough to
Yeah,
explain
perfect.
thing about the pricing. But um, when we started as Submarine Studio, our prices were extremely low. We were students who were riding bicycles, who were renting extremely small office. We were using our computers that our parents gifted us when we were students. So we were not hiring people. We were doing everything ourselves. Our expenses was so incredibly low, and our experience was so incredibly low, and our understanding in what we are doing was so incredibly low. We 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 didn't know about the value we were providing. We didn't know anything about real estate, and of course we graduated architecture university, so we knew something, but it was we didn't understand how the business of real estate actually works, right? So our price was low. But if you invest in yourself, if you invest in research and analysis, if you drill the market and you understand how the market works, and you understand what your clients are looking for, and what are the prices of products they are selling, right? Because if we're talking about expensive real estate, those are expensive things, right? They're selling properties. Like, let's think about this Spanish project. They're selling villas for 2 million euros. So yeah, 2 million for one villa.
Yeah,
It's not the cheapest piece of property in Spain, right? Even in Marbella, I mean, it's not the highest end location. I mean, it's good, of course, yeah, right. But it's not like I don't know, it's not
not Dubai.
crazy. Yes, so but still, I mean, if you understand like their market price, so you understand how much money they usually spend on marketing. So when you're having a negotiation with them, you're saying them, okay, guys, you can spend like 20,000 on Instagram or Facebook and just feed this, like throw it in the, in this hole of Mark Zuckerberg empire. Or you can invest in the pieces of content that we can create for you. So you invest less in Meta because you will have a really good content. And this common content you will also use in your like brochures, your like, I don't know, pages or whatever you're going to launch, right? Or have. So it's just you can show them the difference between investing in cheap renderings and Meta, or let's say high-end renderings and probably less money in Meta or events or anything else that they're going. So right, so you need to be a little bit kind of a psychotherapist for your client, because you need somehow to understand uh, his pain points, or what he's thinking about, or how he's going to spend money, right? And if he really actually has this money to spend, because maybe he's just bullshitting and he has nothing to provide and
Yeah.
to spend.
Um, so we have a couple of points you mentioned regarding the price. I think I talked about these points multiple times. So you mentioned everything you mentioned is on point, definitely. So the first thing is the price does not start from you; it starts from the project value. Okay,
Yeah, correct.
and now let me give you some examples. If you are talking about, I mean, this is a real case study. So I'm still a licensed architect, I would say. Okay, and I license, I would say, uh, small multi-story buildings. And one of the case studies in 2022 we did, it was like 2 floors, um, 2 apartments in like on one land with a garden, and the building cost was 1 million euros, and the selling cost was 1 million euros per apartment. So we have 2 millions. The profit mainly is 1 million. So the architect is going to get around 10% in case he's going through the process from the start to the end. So the architect is getting 10% from the building cost. So it means that it was like I got like 100K, but 100K, it wasn't once. It was like over 1 year and a half. See, at the end, if you calculate it, I mean, it's nothing. It means me as an architect, I cannot hire a high-end visualizer. So I needed to go to my homeland, Syria, to find a cheap visualizer. Sorry for that. I mean, I do provide tips about how to sell your services high, but I cannot pay it as an architect for that project. Just to continue the example. Now, we got someone who did all the visualization, everything for 800 euros. Okay, he gave us like interiors, exteriors, like from top to bottom, all variations. Now we confirmed the design with the owner and the authorities. We got the permit, everything is working. Now we need to sell the apartment above, and then we need to sell the one below. At that moment, I was telling the guy, hey, look, I already have many people who can do great renderings, great interiors, great 3D floor plans, okay, and they can give you great images. But the one image starts at like 1,500. For the 3D floor plans, it could be something different. And he said, yeah, I have no problem. I put 50 for marketing in general. He is ready to pay 50 to get one like 950 in profit. You see? So, so this is the mentality of a developer. And the first example, which was me paying the 800, that is the mentality of an architect. You see? So that is one example. Another example, this is a recent example in December. A client of mine reached out to a developer, and the developer had like the lowest villa. Okay, like a one, well, like I would say it was one villa. Okay, we call it villa, like they call it like some one residence. It was $12 million, the lowest one, and the images were completely terrible. And my client just redid one of the images. Okay, and he got the client. You see, like 12 million. The building cost, like I don't know. Okay, I just calculated. I mean, I researched literally. I researched on the online in that area how much the building cost for one villa would be. I mean, you will get an answer from Google somewhere, and you say the 1 square meter building cost. This is how developers think. 1 square meter is going to cost around, let's say, 3,000, 4,000. Like, let's make it 5,000, and I will see how many square meters they are offering, plus the garden, plus the location, and how much a land will cost there. You will get a sense, a quick sense, like a ballpark, how much the villa, completely the building and the land acquisition has costed. And you will figure out immediately what is their marketing budget. This is a way of how you can figure out the price of the project.
But
And
like,
yeah,
I just have one concern about like I completely agree with you, but it doesn't necessarily mean if the client even have a marketing budget that he's like willing to pay a lot for visuals, right? Because he can simply not seeing a value in this. He can simply think that it makes no sense to invest that much in visuals, right? He probably will spend this money somehow different, maybe by organizing events or anything like that, right? So I'm just saying that it's also important to find the person who sees the value in your service and in your product,
yeah,
because if you're going to spend your energy on convincing someone that visualization is important, you're going to lose your
yeah.
health, your money, and your business, and probably even your wife. So don't
Yeah.
ever do it.
Now we go back to your first point, which is
Yeah.
lead generation. Okay, a lead generation does not mean getting the interest of anyone, only the interested. And those people who are looking to spend on like high-end visuals, they are looking for specific things, and this comes back also to your offer. So yes, I mean someone who is like not interested or does not really see the value, it is easier and quicker for you to find someone who is interested rather than convincing them. Let me see. Johannes König. Awesome insights. Okay, great. Thank you. And who else has a question? Yeah, being a company, what range of net margin you achieve?
Yeah, so it can go from 5% in the really bad month, and it can go up to 35, even 40% profit margin in a really good month, like month. Yes, I would say. But
Okay,
I would say like the medium is between 25 and 30, or like
okay,
between 20 to 30. But we are comparably a small studio. We're a 20 people studio, right? If we talk about big players like Binyan or Boundary, which has like 100 people, they're probably 5 or 8%.
okay. So uh, do you know their numbers, or is it?
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it makes sense to talk about someone else numbers, right?
Yeah, I
I can
mean
talk about my
because
numbers, but not.
I have some information they have more than this, but like yeah, I'm just asking. I mean, because also my information is not confirmed from the owners there, but like
Well,
um,
I mean, I'm just okay. Like we can estimate their revenue and we can estimate the costs. And if someone is thinking that these big players are having a constant workload of projects, that doesn't necessarily like that, right? They also have times where they are having less projects, or yes, they're just doing less. So, I mean, there are still like businesses, right? Which
yeah,
has problems. It doesn't mean that if you're on the top of the hill, you're just doing the best, right? And you're
yeah,
taking all the projects. They still fight, and there is still competition between them. And uh, this is just another game, right?
yeah. Um, to be honest, it's not easy to estimate what they are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit a closed industry.
No, but you can estimate by like amount of people they have, or like the numbers they have publicly. So you can go on LinkedIn and you can see how many people are working in this or in that company, um, or you can just ask the people who work there by simply asking like how many people working there. Then you can understand the numbers. So I mean, roughly the price range for high-end visuals go from 5,000 per image to 10 grand per image. I even heard legends that someone was selling to Neom visuals for 15 grand per image. Um,
Again, it's dependent on the project.
yeah, well, yeah, of course, of course. Maybe those were the rumors, right? But I mean, yeah, like I totally agree with you. It's a really closed industry, and it's a very small industry, and but taking into advantage that this is a really small industry, you have accession to people, like to anyone in this industry, and it's very short, right? You can just simply write to someone who's working at these companies, and they probably will introduce you to someone else. So like if you're really motivated to get these numbers, you can do it, right? It's not a hard job. It's not
Yeah,
a
I
heavy
mean,
lifting. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you are a colleague, I don't know if they are happy to do it. I didn't do it as a colleague previously. I did it only in my consulting thing. I mean, I get it when we have a sales call.
Yep.
So a question for you: are you currently hiring remote artists?
Well, I don't know. I need to ask my partner because he's responsible for hiring and new talents, and it's not on me.
Great, great. So we have a question. Um, so Tudor said his guy joined. Okay, thanks, Tudor. Fabio. Usually, bigger studios work with thinner margins. They take a lot more risks. Running a studio like Binyan takes a lot. They are truly amazing at what they do. Yes, I mean Fabio is already running. I mean, is already working with a big agency. Um, yeah, we don't have any other questions. Let me see if we have something on YouTube. Yeah, the hiring thing was the last one. Perfect. I mean, as a summary, today Tarash talked about three things: lead generation, your offer, and uh, the last part, which is closing the deal. Um, Thank you very much, Tarash. Would you like to have a last word about the sales process, about your, I would say, reflections on the sales process?
Yes, I would probably will have the final advice to everyone who is trying to master sales or business or I don't know, art or anything that he's mastering. I think self-reflection and reflection overall is always the key to success. Reflect as much as possible and as much as you can on things you're trying to achieve, and you will achieve this. Thank you so much.
Great. Tarash, it was a great conversation. Really, thank you for this like 1 hour and a half or maybe 2 hours. Yeah, 1 hour and a half. I hope the audience enjoyed a lot. In case you have any questions and you're watching this um, later, okay, you can reach
Yep.
out to Tarash, ask him directly. In case Tarash, you have a lot of questions, okay, we can repeat this and we can maybe make it again with Fabio. Okay, hopefully he will have better connection next time. Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone, and Tarash. Wish you a great day and see you next Wednesday with another live stream. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Goodbye, everyone. So we finished.
I think it
Great.
was